OpenAI's frontier team is running a million-line code base with zero human written code and zero human code review before merge, and they're calling it negligent not to work this way. Meanwhile, the Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance just told the world that AI agents are fundamentally IT systems that need hard limits on autonomous decision chains. Welcome to the week where the accelerators and the guardrails collided head-on. From the team at the Synthetic Daily, it's Tuesday, May 19th, 2026. Good to have you with us.
We went through 40 posts, articles, and threads across LinkedIn, Substack, and YouTube over the past week to dive deeper into the world of AI for builders.
So here's a sentence that would have gotten you laughed out of any engineering meeting 2 years ago. A team at OpenAI is shipping production code to a codebase with over 1 million lines, and no human being writes any of it. No human reviews it before merge, either. Ryan Lopopolo, who leads what OpenAI calls a frontier team, published a lengthy essay on what he's calling harness engineering. The idea that your job as a developer isn't to write code anymore, it's to orchestrate the agents that write and validate the code for you. SWYX, Sean Wong, covered this on Latent Space this week, and the language Ryan uses is striking. He calls it borderline negligent if engineering teams aren't adopting this approach. Not aspirational, not best practice, negligent.
Now let's unpack what that actually means in practice. The term harness engineering is deliberately chosen. You're not prompting a chatbot. You're building the scaffolding, the test suites, the evaluation frameworks, the guardrails that allow an autonomous coding agent like Codex to run for hours unsupervised. One LinkedIn post from Yangshun this week showed a single Codex session running for 7 hours and 28 minutes straight. It wasn't fully working at the end, he admitted, but it only consumed 7 to 10% of his weekly usage limit. He let it run another 7 hours to clean up bugs.
This is the new workflow. Set a destination, walk away, come back, and evaluate. It's what Sandeep Swadia, an MIT researcher whose YouTube explainer hit 342,000 engagements this week, calls the shift from student driver to hire driver. You're not guiding every turn anymore. You're setting the route and sitting in the back seat. The question isn't whether this works. Clearly it does for OpenAI's own team. The question is what breaks when everyone tries to do it at once, without OpenAI's infrastructure and institutional discipline. This next one surprised me. On the exact same week that OpenAI's team is evangelizing zero human review code deployment, 6 national intelligence agencies from the Five Eyes Alliance published a 30-page document titled Careful Adoption of Agentic AI Services. CISA, NSA, the UK's NCSC, Australia's ASD, Canada's Cyber Centre, and New Zealand's NCSC all signed it. The lead sentence that Rock Lambros flagged on LinkedIn is worth repeating. AI systems are fundamentally IT systems.
That sounds obvious, but it's a deliberate rhetorical move. These agencies are telling every CISO and procurement officer, stop treating AI agents as magical new creatures that need magical new governance. They're software. They have attack surfaces. They need the same boring disciplines, access control, audit logging, least privilege, that you already know how to do, but with a twist.
The document identifies 5 risk categories and proposes 3 deployment layers as the architectural answer: build time authorization scope, runtime per action policy, and hard limits on autonomous decision chains. That last one is the one that matters most. A hard limit on how many decisions an agent can chain together before a human has to approve something. Think about what that means for Ryan Lopopolo's 7-hour Codex sessions with no human review. The intelligence community is essentially saying, that's fine for your internal research team, but if you're deploying agents that touch customer data, financial systems, or critical infrastructure, you need a leash.
Chris Hughes over at Resilient Cyber had Ron Benetton from Verones on his podcast this week, making a related point. Detective controls, the kind built for humans, lose their teeth when the principal making decisions has no accountability. An agent doesn't feel shame. It doesn't worry about getting fired. The security model has to be structural, not behavioral. The ARM specification, just donated by Vanta to the Cloud Security Alliance, is trying to define exactly what that structural enforcement looks like.
Here's something that caught multiple people's attention this week. Claude Cowork wrote itself. Anthropic's Felix Riesberg noticed that users of Claude Code, the terminal-based coding agent, were increasingly using it for non-technical work. Knowledge work, research, writing, planning. The line between coding tool and work tool was dissolving. So the team built Claude Cowork by orchestrating multiple Claude Code instances, and the tool essentially bootstrapped its own development.
This is different from Claude in your browser. When you use a Claude project on the web, you upload files, Claude reads them, and it responds to you. It can't reach out and touch your file system. It can't open other apps, run scripts, or take actions on your computer. Claude Cowork, as a desktop application, can. It operates on your local machine. It edits your documents. It executes code. Silicon Valley girl, Marina Mogilko, has been testing it with her YouTube team, and she's layering it into a multi-tier system where the bottom layer is a structured data store of all her content performance metrics, tone of voice guides, and strategy documents.
Ruben Asid wrote about Claude connectors this week. Over 200 integrations that let Claude pull from Gmail, Slack, Granola meeting notes, and more. The pitch is simple. Claude becomes your single interface to everything. But Marina's point is subtler and more important. She argues you should keep your data in a vendor-neutral layer, even just Google Drive organized by folders, because the AI tools change constantly. If you go all in on Claude today and want to switch to Codex or Gemini tomorrow, your data shouldn't be trapped. The agent is the interface. The data layer is the moat. That's an architectural insight that most individual users and even small teams are getting wrong right now. There's an AI Agent Security Summit happening in San Francisco on May 27th, and the agenda reads like a warning label for everything else we've been talking about. Kayla Underkoffler flagged it on LinkedIn. Topics range from secure coding with AI agents to what they're calling sketchy AI agent skills to a panel on AIUC1, which is being billed as the first agentic AI standard. The panelists include Chris Hughes, Cassie Crossley, and Jim Revis.
You know what stood out to me? Zenity launched something called Zenity Academy this week. Free training materials for enterprise teams on what they call AI agent security posture management. Their framing is blunt. The agent is the new endpoint. Traditional security tools were built to understand what humans access and invoke across SaaS, cloud, and endpoint environments. When the actor making those calls is an autonomous agent, your existing monitoring doesn't know what it's looking at.
Gadir Shady posted a framework on LinkedIn describing agentic AI as a 7-layer architecture stack. The argument is that most companies are treating AI agents like a feature you switch on, when it's actually an architecture you build. Skip a layer and your autonomous marketing system becomes, in their words, operational risk at scale. Gabriel Millian made a similar point with a 12-stage skill stack for AI agent capability, arguing that most enterprise teams staff for 4 stages and hope the other 8 somehow take care of themselves. This is the execution gap, not a knowledge gap, but a doing gap. Everyone knows agents are coming. Almost nobody has the full team to deploy them safely. Here's something that caught my eye. Rumman Chowdhury surfaced something this week that deserves more attention than it's getting. A Wharton paper by Stephen Shaw and Gideon Nave, over 40,000 downloads since January, proposes what they call a tri-system theory of cognition. Across 1,300 participants and nearly 10,000 reasoning trials, they document a phenomenon they've labeled cognitive surrender. The moment a person adopts AI's answer as their own without noticing the transfer occurred. Not laziness, not delegation. Surrender, the kind where you don't even register it happened.
That's a great point. This connects to a wonderfully honest LinkedIn post from Ranjana Sharma, who confessed that Claude didn't ruin her workflow, her unlimited curiosity did. She described the pattern. One idea becomes a prompt, one prompt becomes a workflow, one workflow becomes an automation, and suddenly you're connecting Claude to Notion, Apollo, Google Drive, your calendar, and quote, possibly my childhood trauma. Her insight is that AI removes just enough friction to make every idea feel immediately possible. When the cost of trying drops to zero, the temptation to try everything becomes infinite.
Akriti Agarwal made a complimentary point. AI didn't make her faster at writing. It made her faster at understanding. Her research workflow compresses 6 hours into 45 minutes by using Claude, Gemini, and Notebook LM to extract, cross-verify, and compress insights from papers, repos, and threads. But notice, she never trusts a single model output. She requires convergence across multiple models before increasing her confidence. That's the opposite of cognitive surrender. It's cognitive discipline using AI as a forcing function. The people who thrive in this environment aren't the ones who use the most tools. They're the ones who maintain the clearest boundary between their thinking and the machines. Cisco's Outshift division is making a quiet bet that might matter more than any individual agent. They're building what they call the Internet of Agents, an open infrastructure where agents from different vendors, built on different frameworks, can pass work to each other without a human in the middle. The project is called Agency.org. It's under the Linux Foundation, and it already has over 80 member organizations contributing.
The pitch is practical. Right now, if you have a transcription agent and a writing agent and a scheduling agent, somebody on your team sits between them copying outputs from one tool into the next. Outshift wants those agents to verify each other's identity and pass files directly, using existing protocols like Google's A2A and Anthropic's MCP. LangChain's Harrison Chase announced Langsmith Engine this week, which works autonomously to find patterns in your agent's failures, draft code fixes, and propose evaluation coverage to prevent regressions. Teams like Cogent and Harmonic are already using it.
Ben Tossell at Ben's Bytes wrote something this week that captures where we really are. He watched a video called Agentic Coding is a Trap, and we all fell for it. And his takeaway was deceptively simple. Learn the system, not the syntax. He realized that his years of no-code building in 2018, Webflow for front-end, Airtable for database, Zapier for automation, were already a version of learning systems thinking. The syntax is what changes. The architecture is what compounds. That's the real lesson of this entire week. Whether you're OpenAI running a dark factory or a solo creator connecting Claude to your Instagram analytics, the people winning aren't the ones with the best prompts. They're the ones who understand how the pieces fit together. All right, let's zoom out and talk about the bigger picture. What are the main themes running through everything we covered today? The first big theme is architecture over prompts. The competitive advantage in AI is shifting from crafting better prompts to designing better systems, data layers, evaluation harnesses, and interoperability protocols that outlast any single model.
Next, governance at the speed of deployment. National security agencies and enterprise security vendors are racing to impose structural constraints on agent autonomy before the deployment curve outpaces the control curve.
Next, the human-in-the-loop spectrum. Organizations are now explicitly choosing where on the spectrum from full human review to zero human review they're willing to operate, and that choice is becoming a core business decision rather than a technical detail.
Next, vendor-neutral data as strategic insurance. As AI interfaces multiply and switch costs rise, maintaining a portable, structured data layer that any agent can connect to is emerging as the most practical form of AI risk management for small teams.
And the last one, cognitive discipline as a professional skill. The psychological capacity to maintain independent judgment while using AI tools is becoming a measurable and trainable competency, not just a philosophical aspiration.
So if you're going to take away a few things from today's episode, here's what I'd remember.
Number 1. If your AI strategy is better prompts rather than better architecture, you're optimizing the wrong layer. Systems thinking is the new literacy.
Number 2. The Five Eyes guidance means that any agent deployed in a regulated environment will soon need hard ceilings on autonomous decision chains, so build that constraint in now rather than retrofitting later.
Number 3. Cognitive surrender is measurable and widespread. The professionals who will thrive are the ones who treat AI outputs as hypotheses to verify, not answers to accept.
And finally, keep your data portable and vendor neutral. The AI tool you love today will not be the AI tool you use in 18 months, but your structured data layer should survive every migration.
That's the Synthetic Daily for today. All the sources and links are on the website if you want to dig deeper.
Thanks for listening. See you tomorrow.
Baby,